Hey BookTube friends, it's Carrie. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to pop in and talk about the two books that I read this week. The first book that I read was Stormfront by Jim Butcher, and this is actually the first book in the Dresden Files series, which is a very popular series, but it really wasn't something that was on my radar. This actually came to me through a subscriber's recommendation, so thank you, Dispatcher Tim. I actually really enjoyed this book, and I already have the second book in the series, so it is probably something I plan on continuing. For those of you that are unaware, the Dresden Files series is very pulpy detective fiction with a fantasy flair. So we follow Harry Dresden, who is a wizard, and he often serves as a consultant for the Chicago PD in some of their more mysterious cases. Cases that clearly involve some sort of paranormal or mystical or magical element. The feel of this book was definitely very noir, and actually the opening scene of it reminded me very much of the opening scene in The Maltese Falcon, which is a film I've seen a bunch, but I haven't actually read the book yet, and I actually already have the book here at home because I was planning to read it and compare it to the film. So I really enjoyed that element to the story. It was very campy in a fun way, and the series of murders in this first book that Harry Dresden is helping to investigate involve, we think, the mafia, also a new drug that has appeared on the scene that allows people to see into the mystical or magical realm, and a seemingly innocuous missing persons case that Harry is investigating for a wife. I think this first book does a great job of introducing us to the character of Harry Dresden, and I really like his character. I enjoyed this book. It was just a lot of fun, and I have seen it all over BookTube, and I know some people have had some problems with this series, but I don't really think those problems are very founded, because a lot of the problems that people identified with this book are really problems with pulpy detective fiction novels. So if that's not something you enjoy, then you probably wouldn't like the series. But I don't necessarily think that's a problem. I just think that's kind of part of this genre. You're going to see the seedy side of a city. You're going to see, characters that are drug addicts or prostitutes or that sort of thing. And those characters aren't necessarily done well in a lot of detective fiction, but I think the characters in this book were pretty well done. And again, I think this was a solid introduction to this series. From what I hear, the series actually gets better. So the first book is probably not the best in the series, so that gives me something to look forward to. But like I said, I just thought this was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. The second book that I read this week, I actually listened to as an audiobook, and it was called The End of Her by Shari Lapena. This is the third book by Shari Lapena I've read, and this one is probably my favorite. It's definitely one of those domestic thrillers that she is known for. So in this book, we follow Stephanie and Patrick, who are newlyweds with twin babies, and the twins are suffering from colic, so this couple is kind of struggling. They're a bit irritable, so they're not really at their best. And it's at this time that someone from Patrick's past enters the scene, and her name is Erica. Erica has some really disturbing information about Patrick's past. She starts accusing Patrick of killing his first wife on purpose. Now, his first wife died in what was considered a tragic accident. She died from carbon monoxide poisoning, and at the time she was pregnant. And so she essentially tries to extort money from Stephanie and Patrick by saying she will go to the authorities and get them to reopen this case unless they pay her a substantial amount of money. Now, Stephanie has a pretty substantial inheritance that she has come into, and so she starts to become a bit resentful of Patrick and the fact that this woman, Erica, has entered into their life. And of course, Erica not only is she claiming that Patrick killed his first wife, she claims that they actually have a child. That the reason Patrick wanted to kill his first wife is that he was having an affair with her and he had gotten her pregnant. And so we see this all play out. There are several other characters involved. I don't want to give away too much for the plot because I feel like with this type of book, that's part of the fun, is seeing some of the twists and turns. But I will say I enjoyed the ending of this book. I liked how it ended. You do have to suspend some of your belief for a lot of Shari Lapena's books, in my opinion. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite psychological thriller or anything like that, but it was definitely one of Shari Lapena's better books, in my opinion. So that's what I read this week. I'm not sure what all I will read next week. I know I will probably finish Sundown Motel this week. I just started listening to that. I'm really enjoying it. So I hope everyone is having a great week. And if you've read either of these books and you have any thoughts on them, please shoot me a comment in the description box. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.